Our final speaker for this session is Mr. Sonipat, the founder and CEO of xBhp. He founded xBhp in 2002 and since then has served as the leader, journalist and photographer of the company. Welcome, sir.
Guys, good morning. Good morning. Louder, man. Good morning.
Good morning.
First question, who's a motorcyclist here? Who likes motorcycles? Raise your hands. इस साइड से कोई नहीं है भाई लोग सो रहे हो क्या आप लोग? Guys, you don't like motorcycles? The first guy I met here at the gate, he said that he has a Yamaha R3. Sir, where is he? All right, who likes fast cars here? Who likes to travel? And who likes photography? All right, so basically, amidst these 5 passions, I've got all of you here in the room. Now, what if I say that these 5 passions, I've converted them into my profession, and I have been doing that since 17 years now. So I started when I was your age in 2001 when I was 21. And since 17 years, I have been riding, driving, shooting all over the world. I have ridden in 55 countries. The best supercars, the best superbikes. My job is to shoot. A lot of time I get this comment that, do you even work? And people don't think that I work. I keep enjoying myself. I keep sharing these pictures. Sometimes they get jealous. Sometimes they get inspired. But you know what? The thing is, after these stats, which I've just shared with you, like I've driven around 30 supercars, 200 motorcycles, 55 countries, 500,000 kilometers. Am I successful? That is the question, because the agenda here is actually very important, because all of you right now are at the cusp of going out into the real world and tasting this thing which is called success, which nobody has essentially managed to define properly. Now, before I go ahead, you have heard a lot of people, on the stage. And, Jay, I want to add that why is air important for me? It's not only for breathing, because the kind of bikes I ride, they have a air induction, which is very important for them to function. If you need to get 200 horsepower and you need to go 300 kmph, you need proper air quality to go into the engine and burn the fuel. And all motorcycles, they have air filters. I see that you're wearing one, over here. Unfortunately, in this country, as you rightly said, air quality is one of the biggest issues. But apart from that, I don't want to bore you further, but I want to show you something which will actually might interest you, because this summarizes my dream ride. And after 17 years, I realized my dream motorcycle, and that is one of the things which constitutes success for me. So here is a 3-minute video which will show you how I went around Australia for 20,000 kilometers on the world's fastest motorcycle. Please.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream. And that you could, for example, have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time. And you would naturally, as you began on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you could conceive. And after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure each, you would say, well, that was pretty great.
The air is so fresh here. I mean, and when I'm looking up in the sky, there are so many stars. Did you like that? Jai, that last statement was very apt for you, what you do. The air was actually very fresh. I could see the whole Milky Way standing in the middle of the highway. So was that success for me? Because I always dreamed with these posters in my bedroom that I'll have the world's fastest bikes, I'll be driving the world's fastest cars, and I'll go around the world. And you know, I have this paper in my hand because I usually am used to making impromptu speeches, you know, because I learned how to address a young audience, because when I started, I was 21. I was very afraid of an audience, and when I started this community called xBhp, it grew to be a very big community, and I have gone around India talking to bikers who have a lot of patience issues. You know, if you're a biker, you just want to get through that gap. You don't want to wait for anyone. You call car people like cagers, you know, they're in a cage. So addressing bikers is, believe me, one of the toughest thing, and I'm glad that not too many of you here. I have this thing with me because I think education is a very important part, and I want to be correct. I want to know exactly what I'm telling you. It might help you, so I just don't want to mess up. So hence, I wrote this when I was traveling on the way over here in the car, and I hope I get this right. So the biggest question which I want to ask is that what is success? Now, the nature of the phenomena called success is actually very different. It's as undefined as the depths of the ocean or the human brain. I would like to ask you to consider what I started when I said that, how I started, in fact. I told you about my statistics, like I've done so many countries and all these kind of things. So number one, what we actually realize is that success is about numbers. There is no escaping that. Now, what kind of numbers are we talking about? Now, when I was coming in the morning, I saw a news that Instagram will stop publishing the number of likes on the post. Now, can you imagine if you're an Instagram influencer, what will happen? A lot of people will be out of job. A lot of you will stop uploading, because if you're telling me that you upload a picture and you don't count the number of likes or who has liked what, then I think you're lying. Why Instagram is doing this probably is because they want relevant content to be uploaded and not the quantity of content. Now that brings me to something which you might say that, Sunny, you're also doing the same thing, but you forget that I started all this when there was no Facebook, no Instagram in 2001, when internet had just started in India, and I created something called xBhp, which was India's largest social network only for motorcyclists using a forum software. Okay, I was a webmaster also. I was a 3D graphic designer, animator, so I had those things, you know, going on for me. I didn't require anyone to make me a website. So that is number one. Now, people will ask, how many expensive cars do you own? What is the value of your house? What's your bank balance? Often these kind of questions, they come from your friends, from your family. You know, after a certain point of time in your life, they assess your success in terms of numbers. That, to me, is up to a certain point okay, but not always. Now let's further dissect the nature of the phenomena called success. Now, how do you actually know that you are successful? When somebody tells you. One of the reasons why I'm standing here is because somebody thinks that I'm successful, so let's put this man on the stage. He didn't ask me. I mean, he thinks or she thinks I'm successful. So the nature of success, I think, is externalized. You are depending on other people to tell you that you're successful. Now, how does that work? I mean, you know what you want to do in life, but how does that other person say that now you're successful, now we are going to tell you to do this, now you're going to give this award, now we're going to call you in this award function. This also can work against or for you. Now let's do another dissection. I have realized that success is as subliminally, like in our unconscious mind, we are assessing all our actions against a parameter. For example, when you wake up in the morning, if you're feeling fresh, so your sleep was successful, like you slept successfully, right? When you go to work, if you don't get too much traffic, you reach your place, office, or here, like in the college, successfully. What I got to understand is the success is actually very micro-natured. It's so micro-natured that people forget that what is the bigger picture. They start seeing every action of theirs as it's successful or not, and they forget that what is the big thing that they're after. The next thing which I've learned is from my own journey. So I would like to tell you a little bit of my journey, because this is the exact age when I started my own journey, where I stand over here. Like I said, I rode around Australia on my dream motorcycle, the world's fastest motorcycle, and all these kind of things. Now in 2002, my definition of success was going on my first motorcycle, a Bajaj Pulsar 180 to Mussoorie. 200 kilometers, not too much. I didn't have an accident, I came back, I was successful. But then I wanted more. So in 2003, I bought a little bit more powerful motorcycle, Hero Honda Charisma. I did Spiti Valley on it. I was successful. It was my dream to do Spiti. I don't know if you've been to Spiti, but it's one of the most beautiful places on earth. But then in 2005, I said, nahi, I'm not, I just don't want to do Spiti, I want to do more. So in 2005, I got my first big motorcycle. It is called the Honda Blackbird. That's the first motorcycle to cross the 300 km pitch mark in the world. So I was successful. I got my dream motorcycle. It was in my parking. Every day I woke up, I used to see it, I used to feel it, and I felt on top of the world. But that only lasted for around 3 months. I said, no, I'm not happy, I want to do something more. So in 2006, I got a 1000cc racing bike, and I went around India for 13,000 kilometers on that. Nobody had done that before in India. Was I successful? Yes, for that moment. For another 3 months, I was okay. I said, no, I've got this racing bike, I've gone around India. Now what next? But I was not happy. I said, no, I've done India, I want to go out. I want to do my first ride out of India, which happened to be in Australia. I did 22,000 kilometers in Australia in 2007 on a superbike. Now, that did not stop there. I realized that this is not going to stop. Every time I do something, my definition of success, the bar keeps raising. So I realized that this is our nature, let it be. There are only milestones. There is a lot of people say that success is a journey, it's not an end. And it's very transient. Something which you think is successful right now to you might be a small thing, a small hat for you, maybe a couple of years down the line. For most of you, being successful right now is like clearing your papers here with shining marks and finding a right kind of first job. Maybe, most of you here, for you, success is like that. Now, the biggest thing which I have not told you yet about success is, according to me, so we have talked, let's recap. We have talked about success being about numbers, it about being transient, and also that we externalize success or the parameters of success. We depend on other people to tell us whether we are successful or not. But the biggest feature in my introduction wasn't even there. And to my surprise, nobody even talked about it. For me, success is about how I feel about myself. Nobody will tell you about that. They will only tell you what they have achieved or what other people say that they have achieved. Are we not talking about being happy? If you're happy when you're going to sleep, if you're happy internally, then I think it's a real success. It's a real success story. There are movies, there are a lot of articles, topics on the pursuit of happiness. I don't know whether I'm successful or not right now, but all I know is that every day I wake up to do something new and to ride a new country, a new motorcycle, new pictures. And as long as I'm being able to do that, I remain happy. And it's the same thing I want to pass on to you is that please worry about your grades, please worry about today, but don't forget that in the long run, you have to learn how to be happy. And that is what success will be. When each one of us is on our deathbed, which it's going to be. People forget that Steve Jobs, he said that every day when I wake up, I see myself in the mirror and say that this is going to be my last day. And one day you're going to be certainly right. And that day, no matter how young you are, it will come. So I live my every day as big as possible. And here I just want to inspire you by saying that if you have a passion which you think that cannot be converted into a profession, first complete your studies and then try to pursue it. But then I also want to say something that I was a college dropout. I dropped out of college. I was in Dayal Singh College because I wanted to do something for real. But I completed my graduation. Guys, you have to do that later on, like, distance education. And I wanted to travel the world, do a lot of stuff. And I felt that nobody can hold me in a classroom. But you don't have to take that cue from me. Please complete your studies, otherwise I'll get thrown out of here. And so guys, this is my journey, and one of the measures of success is this magazine, my magazine, xBhp. It's available on the newsstands. This is not a sales pitch, although you might be used to it. But I'm going to pass a couple of issues, and all of you can have a look. I'll leave them here. So that's it, guys, and I hope you have been enjoying the photos as well. And thank you so much.